No, it's not. What is going on? Amen. Praise the Lord. Good. You guys can turn the music down. I'm not sure who did that. Amen. Thank you. We had such a beautiful Dethroning Mammon Worship Experience, right? Wasn't that awesome? Yes. Praise the Lord. So it was a tremendous blessing. Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate you.
Glad I came.
Amen.
She ain't been throwing no shawl on me and telling me stuff like that. Don't have it like that. You speaking to me and think it's over.
You got by TIS. We used to say that somebody did a drive-by prophecy. Just came by and do it and walked away.
I need to know. Yeah, work to do.
That's real. That's real. We definitely have work to do. And so I want to take you guys back to Isaiah 61, which is that last word that the Lord gave us at the end of the Dethroning Mammon Worship Experience. The very word that the Lord himself said he fulfilled in Luke when he went back to the synagogue in Nazareth. We're in that time of the year of the Lord's favor in verse 2, where we're talking about that he is positioning us for the wealth transfer. He's positioning us for great revelation because there's something he's trying to do in preparation for Messiah's return, in preparation for the challenging times before Messiah's return, to bring in a harvest of souls, to be a refuge for others. This is why he's doing all these things in us. And so we got to know this is the year of the Lord's favor. And many of us, of course, I've been talking to you guys about the fact that God's people are in warfare. It's not just you. Everybody's at war. Yep. That's the reality. But the fact that we are in the year of the Lord's favor, we have to look at our life in context. Right now, we're broadcasting live. And anybody can be watching this and receiving this message. The apostles couldn't do that in the first century. All of us have refrigerators and cars. That means we're wealthier than most of the rest of the world. Exactly. Like, we are in the year of the Lord's favor. It may not feel like it because of the warfare, because of the challenges, because of the obstacles, because we're comparing ourselves to Joneses. But if we really keep it in context and see it from heaven's perspective, we are in a beautiful place of favor. The opportunities before us are like never before. Like, there are things at our fingertips because of the web, the internet, and stuff that's becoming available that wasn't available 5 years ago. Like, stuff is happening right now that is just putting us in these beautiful positions. We're absolutely in the year of the Lord's favor. But with all that being said, there's a responsibility that comes upon us. And this is what we see in verse 4. It says, they will rebuild the ancient ruins, restore sites long destroyed. They will renew the ruined cities, destroyed many generations ago. So we're going to focus on verse 4 in our Coffeehouse Peace Talks discussion today, because the Lord has put some things before us. In the Dethroning Mammon Worship Experience, he said he was applying this scripture to us. And I hope you can see it. When he gave me the scripture this morning, because all the rest of the stuff he gave to me throughout the week, this he gave me this morning. And when he gave it to me this morning, I saw all the other stuff he had given me. I said, it's all right here. It's all right here in this scripture. Look, you are bringing us into this place. But the responsibility here is of rebuilding the cities. See, that's key. Not just the work we do in the house, not just the work we do in the four walls, but that's structural reconstruction. That is community development. Like, that goes beyond church and ministry as usual. It goes beyond the way we tend to think about our service. And I think some of you guys got a text or email something from me yesterday. I was in 2 meetings yesterday about uniting believers in Virginia. And y'all know there's all types of groups. Some that I belong to, some that people email me, send me emails from. But there's all types of groups in Virginia talking about unity. There's all types of groups working toward unity. The challenge is making not just the unity happen, but the results that come from it. Right. What should not just happen among believers, it should change the city. The city should be changed because of the unity of the body. We see that in Acts. So we have evidence that suggests that. It's not just an idea. We see the evidence. When they went into cities, they changed it. Philip evangelized whole Samaritan towns. And then the apostles was like, oh snap, we got to show up because they need the Holy Spirit. Philip just evangelized the whole city. Like, they were turning cities upside down. This is the responsibility that's before us. So when we look at these Coffeehouse peace talks, we're looking at reconciliation. God has put us in the year of the favor. He's given us revelation. He's transferring wealth. But we still have to deal with the divide.
Yep.
Because if you got revelation, and I got revelation, we don't like each other, I'm scared you're going to steal my stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or whatever the thing is, he will touch some lives, I will touch some lives, you will touch some lives, you will touch some lives, but we won't touch the city. Mm-hmm. Because it will take unity, it will take the coming together to reach the city. And that's the very thing we were talking about in those meetings yesterday. The Lord sent me to a unity meeting in Norfolk. And it was in Norfolk, they said, and now we're going to Newport News. I didn't even know about the Newport News meeting. I was on the email list for the Norfolk one. I didn't even know that was happening. So then I went to the Newport News one. I think I was like 7 o'clock at night. Because the plan was just to go to the Norfolk one. You see what I mean? But my point is that there's so much happening in the body that is not connected. And some of it is information, and some of it is really us not making the effort. And so we've got to look at that. So let's talk about that responsibility we have to deal with the divide. And then we'll look at connecting with the moves of God to actually move in our city. So this is the question posed before each of us. What can I do? Because we can't tell, honestly, there's nothing we can do about somebody else. What can I do to help heal the divide among believers? I got to start with believers first.
Yes.
Can't heal something outside of the house. That's got to be second.
Yep.
So among believers, what can I do to help heal the divide? And so this is for all of us. We can all jump in whenever you got something you want to share.
Well, I think I can speak from what the temporal piece, what we've been doing for the last couple of years.
Yes, please tell us.
And the process actually started probably January, February 2017. Mm-hmm. And the one church with Jim Moynihan. Yes, right. He came and he had taught a class on dignity with respect, serving with dignity and respect. And we took that class, and then from that it evolved in the fact of knowing that we needed to go outside of these four walls. Right. But the first thing was we had to get everybody on board here. Yes. Mm-hmm. But we did reach out, and we're still doing it right now, reaching out to the other churches to see if they were partnering with us, so that we can go outside and make, because it's a difference. Yeah. It's a difference, and through there we have evolved. Well, I'm going a little bit ahead of what you're saying, but we have evolved into the fact that the United States, the FDA food that you give out, that churches give out free food that they're giving out every year. We were doing it once a month, but what we realized that we were more enabling the people rather than helping them to be self-efficient and to be self-reliant on themselves. So we stopped that. And what we have done now is that we planted a garden. And we invited, and we've been in the neighborhood, we've been walking the neighborhoods, we've been doing mailings to invite the neighbors to come in and help us with the garden so they can share in the products of the garden and help them be more self-efficient rather than depending on the government. And also, too, we are going to be starting a food court.
Nice.
We bought the property right next door, and we're going to be building a food hall in 2020. We have representatives now that's going to Atlanta in December to take classes to see how we can start to do our food co-op. So now we're in the part of marketing. I'm on the unity in the community, and we're going out in the community and reaching out to our neighbors, because we have to. The mindset has to be that it's not their neighborhood, but it's our neighborhood. Right. Even though we don't live, we have maybe about 4. We actually have 2 who live in the immediate vicinity. Most of us live in Hampton. We live other places. Right. So, but we have to have the mindset that this is not their neighborhood and churches that's there. This is our neighborhood. Right. This is our neighborhood. So it's about like you said, building relationship and helping people change their mindset of how it used to be. We used to do things this way, but we can't do the things the way we used to do. We can't do them that way. The city is in ruin, and we have to be able to build it back up. But we can't build it up the way that the normal way, because the system has set it up in place that you on welfare, you will stay on welfare.
That's real.
Yeah.
You on welfare, you will stay on welfare. And I share with the fact that my ex-daughter-in-law, when my grandson was born, his 16th year now, she was on a welfare because she and my son, they got married. Okay, she was going to Norfolk State, but they were paying for people to go to do a CNA class, a medical assistant class. They were not paying for her to go to Norfolk State.
Wow.
So she had to take money out to go to Norfolk State. But the reality was that fact that she went to Norfolk State and got her bachelor's, got her master's, and she enabled her to get a job that paid for her to be more self-efficient, as opposed to just they paid for people to go to school for a CNA, medical assistant, somewhere where you need to work 2 jobs in order to take care of your family. So that's a mindset that so many people have now, of relying on the system rather than doing things differently. So,
Amen.
Yeah.
Do things differently. Amen.
so that's that was a real eye opener. But like I said, it's 2019. We've been working on this in 2017.
Yeah.
So it's mindset within the church, reaching out to the community, even the people in the community. We out there almost every month. Just trying to draw them and doing mailings, and it's still, it's hard.
That's right.
It's hard to do, but if we got one person, we know we made progress.
That's right.
So one of the things that we just can't stop just because, nobody responds and nobody comes to any of our meetings and we got to keep on going.
That's right.
Don't forget to connect with me.
Okay.
Because I didn't know you guys were doing that, and there's money in community gardening. There's money for it, for supplies, for resources, for seed, for equipment. There's money in there.
All right.
Yeah.
So you will.
And I think one of the keys of what you said is when you're talking about what happened in 2017, I remember that because we came and took those classes with you guys. What was key to that, what I think was what was so transforming, is that you brought somebody else in. Like Jim is amazing, man. I love Jim, and what he's doing, what God's doing through him, is transforming. It changes your thinking. If you stay where you are and keep doing what you do, you won't change and you won't do things differently. But you guys brought in someone else who had new information. Of course, he's a believer. He used to be a pastor, so you can trust the information. That's important. But that's key, and that's something a lot of us are really. There's a fear of doing it, but there's also a pride about it. You know what I mean? Because there's this, I should know. We should know. We should have answers. I shouldn't have to bring you in, because I should already know this. But if we knew, we'd be doing it.
Exactly.
And so the evidence says we don't know. Clearly, right. The fruit is very clear that we don't know. So bringing in other people, other believers, other organizations, we've got to be more open to that, and that is a blessing that y'all have. And when I talked to him yesterday, he was at the Unity meeting. Jim was at everything. I was looking for him. And he saw me like, when I saw him, I'll tell you what he said about you guys. He said, if everybody could just do what Temple of Peace is doing, he said, Temple of Peace is the model. That's what he said about your mission. He said, Temple of Peace is the model of what church should look like. And he said, you know what I really believe is happening? Because when Pastor Karen hears the truth, she presents it before God, and she just follows the Holy Spirit. He said she's just willing to do it. And I said, wow, like that it blessed me so much. That testimony is coming forth, just watching what you guys are doing. How awesome would it be if that could be said of every ministry? And we're going to do it differently. But that each ministry was just listening to God, just responding, just doing what God was saying to do. And he said, even when it's hard and scary, she still takes it before God, listens, and she just does it. And I was like, look at God. That was a testimony. It really blessed me.
Yeah, that's what we say. I mean, the members who are on board, they said, oh, look at, it's just amazing. What the doors that he opens once you say, this is commitment. And say, this is what I'm committed to doing, and we're committed to doing this. And the doors that have been opened.
Yes.
It's just totally amazing.
Good God. Amen. Yes, ma'am.
What I think is that we forget we're supposed to function like a body. We have the Hellenistic mindset, which is I, my team, my church, my congregation. But if we understand that we're supposed to function like a body, you have the organs, you have the lungs, you have the spleen, you have the pancreas, you have the kidneys. When you understand that each person has their own particular part and how we're supposed to function together. And I think that's part of what is happening in the body, is that if you were to understand that I need you, you need me, and it makes me think about that song that was really, really popular that Hezekiah Walker did, I need you to survive. It was a very powerful song, and the reason was because it made people think that, literally, I need the knowledge that you have, because God gave it to you, and you need the knowledge that we have because God gave it to us. And I think if we were to remind ourselves, remove ourselves from this Roman thinking that we are to function like a body, I think that would help, because people have forgotten. I mean, seriously, I remember growing up that it was nothing to see other congregations fellowshipping with other congregations. Now you don't see it. You see pockets, and it's like people don't come out their own little sphere of people that they communicate with, forgetting that we're a body, forgetting that you might be the kidneys, but we're over here with the lungs, so God is breathing life through us, but yet we still need what you do. We need you to purify, just like we need the spleen and the gallbladder and so on and so forth. And we tend to function kind of like how a business function, which is, okay, it's my competition against yours, but when you understand the true nature of business, it makes me think about McDonald's is in real estate. They're really not into selling burgers, they're in real estate. But McDonald's has no problem in setting up shop literally across the street from a Burger King or from something else. And that seems to be what's the mindset within the body, which I think, prayer and just helping, reminding the pastors that we have to come together, that we're here to work. You have something you do, it makes me think about what God gave me for Ecclesia 2020, for the region, for us to come together and say, okay, you do this well. Oh, wow, we need this for our ministry. But since God has given it to you, come over here and teach us, right? And vice versa.
Right. Yes.
Just hearing, today was an awesome, like I said, young lady, we have some conversations coming. Can't just prophesy on me and think it's over. I don't know what's happening, but we're gonna talk, but she's talking stuff that, okay. But just listening to hearing this, and I've had a hard time in the body, getting the body to understand that there's three parts. We all know the spiritual, physical, financial. It's not a surprise. I can look and see, because God is the one showing me, the physical and financial is very anemic. Pretty much almost non-existent. Everybody's sick, everybody's broke, everybody's full of spirit. So we know there's an imbalance. Now again, by no means am I saying these three are supposed to be equal. We know the spirit's the most important part, but the other two should be down here. They need to come up to a place where the world, because remember, we're trying to win not the church.
Right.
We're trying to win the world, as Jesus did. Well, how did he do that? He told them that he's going to make them fishers of men. And what did he do? He literally showed them. He networked and literally showed them how this is done. If we want to win the world, we're not going to, it has not worked, it will never work. Winning 1 and 2s and 3s here and there every 15 years, that's not the plan.
Yeah.
We have got to be, in their eyes, what they think is the most important thing to them. And it's not spiritual. That's ours. We know, we get it, we understand the order. They don't. What's most important to them? Money, and then maybe their health. So if we don't have that, and we just out here, we got the fire, they looking at us like, what in the world? These people always out here, I don't get it. Why are they always out here talking about the spiritual gift? They ain't got this, they ain't got that, they lacking here, they broke over here, they outweight, over 66. We're trying to win them, and they're looking at us and they're what? Natural.
Yeah.
Don't the world work in the natural? How we work? Spiritual. We see spiritual, they see natural. So we've got to do it to where we bring those other two up, which is where my ministry works. Again, we just talked about parts of the body. I'm not trying to be the shoulder. If I'm the finger, I'm just trying to be the finger. Where try to pick up a cup with 4 fingers and leave the thumb off. Isn't it easier with the thumb? So let's just do this the way it's designed. Everybody do their part. And that way everything will flow better. It won't be as hard as we've made it, and then we preach hard work over the pulpit. We tell people to go get jobs, do whatever. His plan doesn't show that. I see these guys for 3.5 years moving around and doing everything that needs to be done, and everything is provided for. As she said earlier, there is kingdom finances. We all have parts to play. So being that the physical and financial is so anemic right now to the world, the way they're looking at us, we need to bring that up so they will turn their head and look at us. We won't have to go get them, they'll chase us down. What happened when Jesus in one of the towns? Then they come out to meet them and got all these people from everywhere running that building the whole town. We can do that today. We don't see that today. We can't see that today because of all the division. That's the devil's playground. To have everything. He's not worried about, I told my wife a good example. 5-4, right? 5 fingers. If you slap the devil, that's humiliating, right? Might sting a little bit. But what happens if all that comes together and makes one of these? Which one's more effective? Which one take long to get back up from? It's the unity. We need to do this, not this. This right here is embarrassing. This right here, yeah, he's gonna be down for a minute. So we've got to get back to unity as we've been talking about, because we have got, it's not even an option. You might have, I can't remember what it was. She said something today, but we keep talking about like it's an option. These are not options. These are God's words for his children. Yes. And if we do not do them, it's disobedience. Right. Nobody wants to hear that, but it is. We've got to unify. Everybody stay in their lane. Stop trying to pull the finger over here to get the eye or what. Just everybody do what they're supposed to do in one cohesive body. Right. And the results that we know we can bring, we're going to absolutely see. They will take place. But it's a matter of everybody just being where they need to be and unifying that one body. Not bodies like we see now everywhere. Like the people in the world don't even know who to go to. They're like, okay. If I give this example. If I'm an adult right now and somebody from the church approached me, I'm good. At least I know I'm going to hell. I don't know what's happening over there. There's like 1 million of y'all with 55 different choices, and if you move a word or a letter now, I think I can do it this way. No, they said you can't. Maybe you can. This is wrong. That's not. It's confusion and chaos. That's not where God works. He doesn't. So the sooner we come together, game over. But that's what the enemy knows, and he's just doing everything he can to keep us separated. So that way, that doesn't happen. But once it does, it's game over. I ask people all the time, if you have a day, we all got 24 hours, right? I ain't crazy, right? We all got 24 hours. Mm-hmm. If you didn't have to go out, have to, I didn't say choice, if you want to, you can, but what if you didn't have to go out to a job? 8 to 16 hours a day. How much more effective is your ministry? Don't you have more time for that? More time for your personal? More time for your family? What if the money's coming in and you're not, what if you sleep and you make more money sleeping than when you're awake? Wouldn't that fund, is there any financial need in the body if the body got more money than they need? Overflow, more than enough? These are things that we're not thinking about. If we're not sick because we're stressed out, because we're tired, because we're working too much, and trying to squeeze in God here and there in family, what does that picture look like? It looks like what we saw in the Word. We just got to get back to that. That's where my ministry functions in the physical and financial. Not that spiritually important. I just realized, because God keeps showing me, these two are needed. We need to bring them up. Nowhere near where the other one is, but it needs to come up. So we can be way more effective with more energy, more time, more strength, more finances, more everything. And you're more in tune with him because you're not tired and stressed out and wore out. It's that simple. It's unity, it's getting back together. And having the money and the time and the health to do that. Game slap over. I haven't seen the picture. He keeps showing it to me. I'm like, Lord, show somebody else. I got it. I've seen it. I thank you. Now just open the doors. And you just did that today. That's why you're going to talk. I hope she ain't a drive-by prophet. That is, you're going to go out and you're going to drive out and stuff man with his feet up. Come on back in there. Because we got work to do. This has been going on too. It's been decade after decade after decade. Like we get a little something in service, and you would think like it's all good. A few testimonies in a row in one service, and everybody like, oh wow, yeah, no, that shouldn't happen every 10 years. Not every 5, that should be happening every week. Maybe every couple of weeks, not every few years. This stuff blows my, it's been decades of this. We're divided and we're broke. We're tired, we're sick. Once we get this stuff out of the way, as doors open, that's all I'm waiting for is the doors to open. We were just talking about this over there just before we came here. Then doors open, this is done as far as what we can do with more energy, more time, and actually have money. We run around with no money talking about we good. This stuff, it blows my mind, but yeah, change is here. I know, put it this way, in less than 1 year, our children's children are good. From what are we over there showing everybody else? That costs nothing. The body just don't know. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children. We had nothing to leave for our children. Well, we got the house a few years ago. But now, our children good to go. Should the Lord tear it down. Everybody can have it. And the more it happens, the bigger it gets. The storehouse just keeps getting more. He will start pushing it out the windows. Because there'll be nowhere else to put it if we just obey his simplicity of what he's laid out. The physical and financial coming up, not where the spiritual is, but coming up from down in the trenches. And it's just a better balanced life. He said have life, have more abundant. Head and not tail, lend and not borrow. It's all in there. But he has a plan to do that. We just got to plug in and then share. And watch what happens. I know people right now that are multi-millionaires that don't work. And ain't none of them spend a penny. They're not spending any money. They're literally doing what she said, convert fake to real. That's what they're doing. Tens of thousands of people do it now. And there's people making millions of dollars a year. And all of those was conversion. We all know people. And we're not connecting and passing this information that God set up. Wait, the wealthy are doing it. We can see that this works. Because the wealthy, what the scripture say, that the world uses the more wisely than we do. That means they're taking his principles and doing them and showing us, and then we won't do it.
That's right. They be quote scripture.
Yeah, it's right there in the Bible telling us they're doing it better than you, my children. Stop letting them just do what they're doing. If you can't beat them, join them. They should be joining us, but that's not the case. So we the other way around. But once this gets going, you can't unsee this information. And then once you start applying it, you can't outrun the blessings. They absolutely will chase you down, ride you into the ground. You ain't going nowhere. You can't outrun them. I'm done.
When you say that, if we can't beat them, join them, what I think of is we're in the world, but we're not of the world. So we have that misconstrued.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We miss how that's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's exactly part of it. We're in here, we're not of it though. But we are. But here's the thing, we are. We're the opposite of that. They say take paper, this is money. We say, okay. But they don't save in paper. They go get gold with the paper.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody's working, opening businesses, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. We're not talking about any of that. That's after you do God's plan. Turn paper, go. Keep doing that, pass it on. This is what happens to your financial situation. For permanently. Then they take off of that, the extra, and then they open businesses and take risks in stocks and bonds and buying houses. And if you get in the wrong kind of house, lose your behind. Get crypto at the wrong time, lose your behind. Get in the stocks, bonds, 401k, any of that stuff at the wrong time, you lose your behind. If you take fake money and turn it into gold, you can't lose. It's risk-free. We just don't do it. 1% of the planet has physical gold. We need to fix that. It needs to be us. All right, I'm done again.
No, it actually, something you said earlier, Nikki, we were talking about, that it makes you think about what the Lord has told us about ecclesia. Because this is what I've been in prayer about, and this is what I was going to those meetings, listening for what the Lord was saying yesterday. Because what He's told us to do, because we have an annual ecclesia event each year. Y'all know, I think we've had them at besides Sunday. This year coming up, the Lord said alignment and honor. And honor has been a strategy for a long time. And honor is something that we really should know a lot about it, because we serve the God who deserves all honor. But the reality is, as a body, we don't know a lot about honor, like really honoring others. And the Lord, when He talked to me about honor as a strategy for unity, this was a long time ago. And it takes time. So this is why it's another reason why we do it that much. It takes time to honor somebody. we tend not to want to invest that kind of time. What he told me in the beginning, and whenever the Lord did something powerful through the Truth in the Spirit in unity, it started with honor. And what I mean by that is to honor someone requires first that you find out where their strength lies, what they do. Like if you are the finger, I have to find that out about you. Because people don't just come out and say what they are, what they bring to the table. You know what I mean? They'll be boastful. And it's usually not relevant, we don't think, to what we're talking about anyway. Yeah. So what I need to do is I have to spend time with you, get to know you, and then I can see if I'm praying concerning you, what God has placed in you. Like a question I would ask, especially when believers annoy me. Believers get on my nerves all the time. You know, God's people, I was like, they're so hard-headed, Lord. And honestly, it's not the lay people. I feel like they're usually about the leaders. Because I do the leader stuff with the other leaders, and I'm like, Lord, no, I can't deal with your people no more. No. And when I do that, he will pause me. Yep. And he will stop talking. You know what happened when the Lord stops talking? Yep. Because he's like waiting for me to be done. Yep. And then I'll say, okay, Lord, show me why you love them. And I'm not talking general of them. I'm talking about the specific person that annoyed me. Why do you love them? Because there's some people that are dear to God's heart that have just tendencies that are just frustrating to me personally. You know what I mean? Like he loves them so much, they're so precious to him. But they just annoy me to no end. Their way, their manner, why do you do that? You wasted time. You don't have to do it that way. Like, but the Lord will pause me and he will tell me why he loves them. Even like when I'm prophesying, God will give me a word of correction. Before I deliver it, I have to ask him, why do you love them? Because if I know the corrective word, I know what he's trying to redirect them from. But I need to know, why does he even care enough to redirect them? See, because that has to come out of my tone as a prophet. Why do you even care enough to be redirecting them, to correct them? Same thing with unity. If I have something to offer you, if I spend time to get to know you, and I start to appreciate what you have to offer me, you'd be much more likely to ask me, what is it that you do? You understand what I mean? But that's an investment. And we are not patient people. When I come to you, I want you to know this is what I do. You need it in your life. Pick it up now. That's what we do. Right? Because I'm on a schedule and we're already behind. And we getting older. We outside of God's time already. You need this in your life. Yeah. You need to take it. And what the Lord has shown me is that he's like, daughter, if you do that, they're going to be resistant to the way you presented that. And the truth is, if you honor them first and find out what it is I have in them, then they'll be likely to find out what it is I have in you because you've invested in them. Now, the reality is, Mammon has us all running around like crazy people, chickens with their heads cut off. We don't have time for these relationships. But the relationships are key. And so I want to encourage you guys, as we kind of come to a close, I'll come to you, that I don't want to keep you too long. Pray about investing in key people. And when I say key people, I don't mean key based on your standard. Key based on God's standard. A key person can be a 12-year-old. You understand what I mean? You don't know who a key person is to the Lord. When the Lord puts people in your life, because there are people, when I would cry out to the Lord, and I'd be like, Lord, this is happening, and this is not right, and then he'll show me somebody's face. I'm like, then you trying to get me to mentor somebody. I'm telling you there's a problem, Lord. And so his redirection is just invest in this person. While you're complaining about this, just invest in this person. That's all I want you to do. Build a relationship with them, build them up, invest in them, and then watch. I'm gonna deal with this over here, what you think is unrelated, but it's not. It's just beautiful in there. And that for me has been an important takeaway. Because it's a challenge. It's really hard to do. It takes time. It takes patience. Especially the whole time while you're thinking is, I have answers that you need. When you're thinking that and you're still investing. I'm investing in you. I'm investing in you. It takes patience and investment. But that is a key to creating the relationships that can bring the unity. Yes, ma'am.
I have an example of just in my personal life when it comes to relationship building with ministries. So years ago, I used to be the education leader at a ministry I was at. And one of the visions of the ministry was to build a school. Like that was one of the goals, and it was like always everything about the vision, the direction, everything, it was always before us. So I was over education and I was like, okay, God, I see what you want to do, but to build a school, but where we're at, we're not ready for a school. I can't remember right now how I got to it, but there was a ministry in Norfolk that I was connected with, not because of that ministry, but because of my grandmother. And I connected in some kind of way, and they had a tutoring program. But it wasn't just the tutor program they had. The tutoring program was so effective, they actually built a school. Wow. The school was right there because the way that the tutoring program ran and functioned, it was like a well-oiled machine on how it worked. Wow. So much so they were able to build a school. I got to visit and see how the tutoring program ran. I volunteered my time. I got to meet with, the lady that my grandmother knew. She was, I'll just say for the lack of a better word, she was a secretary. Let's just say she was a secretary for the tutoring program. Well, she introduced me to the lady who was over the tutoring program, who was also over the school. So I got the chance to walk around to each of the classrooms for the tutoring. I got to tutor, I got to see how they function, but I also saw a need that they had. Like they had like a small computer lab. And so because they allowed me to they gave me information, they gave me like what their handbook was, they gave me different resources that I could model that I researched and found. I was looking up software because I'm thinking we needed to have a computer lab. I'm thinking about a ministry I was at, we needed a computer lab so they can have resources to do tutoring, almost like homeschool. This is like, you're talking about, this is like maybe 2000, I say like 2004 or something like that, some number back then. But needless to say, I was able to tell that ministry what those resources were. And those resources were, if they weren't free, they were like cost less to nothing. So you had not only education software that they learned for different grades, but it also focused on SATs and GRE, all that type of stuff. It was software that you can purchase for nonprofit organizations. So what I was able to do is provide that to them as a resource to help them improve that part of it. But I was able to model the structure to start off at my ministry. Yeah. And get the people on board. I mean, I had learned about like the educational training, like all of their volunteers had to do like educational software on like child abuse and all that stuff. Had to sign off on it. It wasn't anything that it was, you had to follow a legal aspect. That was their flow. Like in order, before you could do it, you had to do like background check. It's like one of the things that they did. And it was crazy because I went somewhere else, they use the same software. So I say all of that to say is that I was able to find someone to model what it is and where that the ministry was going to. The same groundwork they started from doing the tutoring program to a school, I was able to see, also offer suggestions and resources to help their own ministry while they provided me resources as well to start mine.
Wow. And that's what it's supposed to look like. And I've seen that sometimes, and then we see the opposite sometimes. But that is something for us to pray into and for us to contribute into. Who can we give information to that may be starting something similar to us? Who can we open our doors to without fear and concern that they're going to take something or whatever? but that we'll be building a body, and that we can model that, because you were blessed by seeing the way they were blessing you. And then you were blessing them back. Just being involved in those type of relationships is a blessing. Like Timber Peace blesses my socks off. Just the way they bless us, it just blesses me so much to want to bless them. And Messiah Center, the way they bless us, that blesses us, so we can be that same type of blessing to other people. And so I want to encourage us to think about that, how we can be a blessing like that, how we can honor others, because it is time to rebuild the city. But no one person or one ministry can do it. It will only happen if we have these relationships and this unity, which is an investment. And we're late. We gotta make it happen. We gotta make it happen. All of us do. Amen. Amen. So I actually want to close us out. If no one else has anything they want to share, I think this is a good conclusion. It's good food for thought after all that God just did and all that He's already deposited into us. Is good food for thought. For those of you who don't know, we had our Dethroning Mammon Worship Experience before this Coffeehouse, which is what people are referring to. And if you want more information about it, go to kingdomwealthllc.com. Truth in the Spirit hosted Kingdom Wealth, so that we can have that experience, and then now we're all coming off of that, wanting to make a difference in our city. Amen. Amen. Let's sing the praise out.
I sure can. Father God, we thank you so much for this time that we have come together where it pleases you, where your children come together in unity. We thank you, God, that you have opened our eyes, oh God, to things that have held us down, and now we are breaking free, we're breaking out, we're breaking loose, oh God, so that way the kingdom will advance, oh God, at your pace and at your speed. We will follow your rhythm and your cadence in the name of Jesus. We thank you, Father, for this house. We ask you, God, that you will bless it, you continue, oh God, to pour into it. That as we leave this place, oh God, but never from your presence, oh God, that you would dispatch your angels all around us, and that you would continue to guide our steps, oh God, as we are leading the way, oh God, to bring more of the lost and the unbelievers into your house. And we thank you, Father, for this time, for the fellowship. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Bless you guys.